This episode of The Tome Show is brought to you by listeners like you, thanks to our patrons at patreon.com/The Tome Show. Welcome to The Tome, a D&D news, reviews, and interviews show, and I'm your Tome host, Jeff Greiner.
And I'm Tracy Hurley, and in this episode, number 397, we're going to grow new monstrous heads as we look at the 2024-25 version of the Monster Manual in part 19 of the series.
That's the old intro. I didn't change it from Hydra, but oh well. Joining us for this episode is the stalwart iron golem of the Tome Show. Brandis Stoddard comes to us from Dimension 20, Worlds Beyond Number, and other things, as well as being a Tome Show regular and often set up as a defender of all that is precious and good in our world.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay, good. And
also very fire absorbent, right?
Yes.
Known for my fire absorbent properties. Yeah.
That's very useful, I imagine.
Yeah.
So, also on the team tonight is the invisible stalker of the Tome Show from Gnome Stew, What Do I Know, JR, the podcast Thinker with Advantage. Jared Rascher is a spirit of air, here to slaughter our enemies.
Yeah, if anything, I am known as a very stealthy being that nobody knows when when he's sneaking up on them. That's me, all right.
Well, at least your art is pretty simple in second edition.
The second edition Invisible Stalker art was Trey Menefeet.
So yes, we are still talking about the latest Monster Manual, heavy there. D&D 5e got an update in 2024, and we're doing a monster by monster dive into this book. To get us started, it's disclosure time. Jarrett purchased this book, and the rest of us got review copies.
And we begin right after where we left off in the last episode, which means we are talking about intellect devourers. For people who don't know, intellect devourers are they're basically brains with four legs, four clawed legs that end in like the three-toed chicken type feet, but they're thicker, fatter than chicken feet, and they're kind of brain puppies, as Jared referred to it before the recording started.
They're the treasured pets of the hated Gaik mind flayers.
That's right. So intellect devourers tend to hang out with mind flayers, and I mean it's really a beneficial relationship between the two of them, right? The intellect devourers tend to work in service of the mind flayers, and the mind flayers provide the intellect devourers with bodies to inhabit, because the mind flayer eats the brain, and then the intellect devourer crawls right into that skull and takes over the body and walks it around like a puppet.
I mean, they like to eat their own brains too,
right? They also feed upon the gray matter.
True enough. But that's more or less the intellect devourer. How has the intellect devourer been updated for 2024?
So it's picked up a mighty 7 hit points, which isn't maybe accomplishing a ton. And of course, damage resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from non-magical weapons is not a thing no mo, as we have covered many's the time. There is no longer a condition immunity to blinded, essentially because that's always a confusing thing to even have. Like, what does that mean? Can your blind sight be taken away by anything? Question mark?
Well, right. I mean, I it's one of those, like, they had condition immunity blinded because they have no eyes, so they don't rely on eyes to see, so the things that would normally provide the blinded condition don't apply to them because bright lights aren't going to bother something without eyes.
Right. but now they just have blind sight 60 feet.
Which means now they can see. The 2014 version had blind sight to 60 feet, and it specifically noted that they were blind beyond that range.
Right.
Now
the blind beyond that range concept is gone.
That concept is gone, and so now they can just see like a normal thing without eyes. They can't be blinded, and the blind sight is just normal blind sight.
Sure.
I see where that's easier, but it is less evocative and interesting to me.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, I mean, if you still have that in place, it's got this huge range where it can sense minds, at 300 feet, but you could have that scampering where it's like, I know it's in this direction, but I can't sense it yet, other than knowing that it's there, which is kind of a neat story element to have, but no.
So detect sentience has changed to detect intelligence, for reasons, I guess. I
mean, it still functions more or less the same, doesn't it? It's just a different name.
It does, yeah. And ignoring barriers, ignoring all interposing barriers is a pretty big deal, right?
So it can detect if there is an intelligent creature around, regardless of if there's a wall between it or whatever.
Yep.
I do notice that
Devour. So Devour Intellect is totally changed.
Well, let's go back to Detect Intelligence, because the 2014 version explicitly calls out that a creature can be protected by Mind Blank. 2024 does not call that out, but is there something inherent in the Mind Blank spell that would make that still true?
I'll tell you in a second.
Okay.
The 2014 version, which is linked in D&D Beyond, if you look at that one, it says it would sense emotions or read its thoughts, but that's not just detecting that it is in a direction.
So, yes, Mind Blank will still work, and it works because Detect Intelligence includes the word magically. It magically senses the location. Well, Mind Blank, the target is also unaffected by anything that would blah, 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 magically detect its location.
Okay.
So, and no spell, not that this is a spell, can gather information about the target. Yeah.
So it doesn't need to call out in Detect Intelligence that Mind Blank blocks it, because Mind Blank will inherently block it based off of what Mind Blank does.
Just so. Yes.
Okay.
I would say the 2014 wording is a little more ambiguous, so that might be an interesting, like once I don't know if this is what caused them to reword Mind Blank or the other way around, but
right. Okay, so go ahead.
Good question.
You said you said that Devour Intellect, which is one of their sort of core abilities. That their basic abilities are what is it? A multi-attack with a claw, Devour Intellect, and Steel Body. But you said Devour Intellect has gone through some updates.
So they've reworked the flow of action between Devour Intellect and Steel Body from Devour Intellect and Body Thief, right? Mm-hmm. So in Devour Intellect, okay. It's different. It's kind of okay. They wanted to get rid of the ability score damage nonsense. And, fair.
Mm-hmm.
Ability score damage is not actually anyone's idea of a great time.
And it's something that's slowly been phased out since second edition.
Right. I've told my story about shadows and shadow demons, and how I used a shadow to kill a shadow demon because they do strength damage, and shadow demons have 1 strength. Anyway, it's a story for another time. Sorry. I felt very good about myself playing that day, is what I'm saying.
Oh yeah.
Anyway,
It's interesting because Devour Intellect and Steel Body versus Devour Intellect and Body Thief from the 2014 version, like it functions differently now.
Right, in the 2014 version, you're taking this intellect damage,
but you're not taking intelligence damage. You're just rolling a 3d6, and if it exceeds your intelligence, it eats your brain. If it doesn't exceed, then nothing happens.
But the target is stunned until it regains at least 1 point of intelligence.
Oh.
Are you not taking intelligence damage? Because
what you are taking damage, but you're either taking all of the damage or none of the damage. So it's damage. It's just
so you're only taking damage. You're only taking damage if it exceeds, and then you're taking all of it, and then you're stunned, but then it can creep in and take over your body until somebody casts some sort of spell that regrows part of your brain so that it can kick you out. It can evict you.
So now it is an int save, DC 12, stunned on failure, stunned and psychic damage on failure, and that stun lasts until the end of the Intellect Devourer's next turn. That end of turn rather than start of turn that is so common with effect variations. So that means that Steel Body could happen.
Yes. And that's how it works now. So before it could knock your intelligence to 0, and then Body Thief says that it can try to then take over. It's well situated at that point to try to take over your body and replace your brain. Because it's an intelligence contest and your intelligence just got dropped to 0. Whereas the new one is if you're incapacitated and have fewer than 10 hit points, then it can attempt to take over your body.
Yeah. So it's got to burn down your hit points with Devour Intellect and claw attacks. I mean, the hit point threshold business is a huge change.
Yeah.
And creates a lot of situations where you're going to go from not vulnerable for a reason of too many hit points to not meaningfully vulnerable for reason of being dead.
I'll tell you what though, the 10 hit point threshold on the new one also makes it significantly less likely to happen, I think.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So I think that doesn't kind of scan to me.
No. Like there's problems with the original version too.
Yeah, because if the host body dies, the Intellect Devourer must leave it. So, like, what? We've created too narrow of a window of possible effect to me.
Yeah.
Just because, unless it can reduce the damage that it deals with Devour Intellect at will, like it's too easy to be at 11 hit points and now you're dying, and are you any use to it while you have 0 hit points but aren't yet dead?
I appreciate the effort to fix the 2014 version, which wasn't great.
Sure.
But I don't think their solution is better.
Sure. Well, this solution would work fine if the damage threshold were 15 or 20.
But also,
what's interesting to me is if you pair them with their most logical things to pair them with, and they take over somebody, their entry point is by damaging the body that they're going to take over, and the things they hang out with most, illithids, don't really heal things. So at best, you're going to have to wait until this body heals back up again, or else you're in danger of being sneezed on and falling over after you take over a body.
You take a short rest or two, you can burn your hit dice and start healing up.
So how do hit dice work with monsters in 2024?
I haven't.
Not.
I haven't seen it in 2020. I thought at one point I saw somewhere in 2014 that the number of hit dice that a monster has is the number of dice listed for like their hit points. So like the Intellect Devourer has 8d4, so it has 8d4 hit dice.
Yeah. So it can spend those on a short rest. Right.
Yes, although it is interesting to think about because the body it's possessing is not its body to be spending its hit dice on. I also find it. I also find it like Intellect Devourers are not going to ever be a threat to anybody like 5th level or above, because the odds that this creature, CR2 creature, is going to get you down below 10 hit points is pretty slim.
No, except that stunned is really bad.
Well, stunned sucks.
It is, but I mean, at CR2, Intellect Devourers were one of those like low CR monsters that still had that potential to wander up to a 15th level person that rolls badly and still annihilate them because they're just that terrifying.
And the other thing with it, right, is that it doesn't have to be the main threat to be able to hurt someone level 5 and above. It just, other creatures can get it down to that 10 and then it comes out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, if it's sort of hanging in the back behind its Illithid master and just waiting for you to be stunned so it can get at you, then that's pretty cool, I guess.
I do like the new artwork a lot, though.
New artwork is cool.
Yep, it's better than the old one.
I guess I feel like maybe they need a little bit different of a trick if it's going to be this hard to make it all land. I don't know. I guess I'm saying also their claws are not as interesting as they need to be.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, some of this is like leftover from previous editions, but to me, even up through 2014, like the Intellect Devourer was I don't care that if it doesn't have that many hit points, we need to kill it fast because this is a potentially disastrous
because there is
thing.
a chance it's going to go bad.
Now it almost feels more like, here's a narrative thing. You can say that person that was talking, that NPC that was talking to your party all along was actually working for the Mind Flayers because they had a Intellect Devourer in it, because it's not going to be a major threat just by itself most of the time.
Yep. Okay. We've ragged on the Intellect Devourer enough. Let's talk about Invisible Stalkers. So, Invisible Stalkers, we joked earlier about the 2nd edition Invisible Stalker Monster Manual artwork because it was just a box with nothing in it. It was completely blank because Invisible Stalkers are, of course, invisible. Interestingly, if you look at the artwork from either 2014 or 2024, they may be invisible, but somehow they still are depictable in artwork because they are spirits of air, and you got all kinds of wispy cloud malevolent creatures being depicted here.
And they presumably kick up some dust.
Sure. Okay. Yes. Because then it makes it more interesting to put in artwork.
Yes.
So that's about the beginning and the end of it.
They did keep that interesting, like, Death's Head mask sort of thing that manifests for its head in both 2014 and 2024.
Yep. So Invisible Stalkers, if people don't know, are air spirits that are oftentimes summoned up by magic users to sneak off and kill things. And they are invisible sort of innately and naturally, always invisible. And they just sort of sneak around and slashy, stab. That's sort of their story, right? Did I get it right?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Now, I haven't looked in detail yet, but it seems like, just glancing at the stat block, that there might be some more interesting things going on with the new version. Is that accurate?
Well, so this is a rare case of resistance to non-magical bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage doesn't go away, but instead becomes all bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. That doesn't happen often, so it's interesting to see it here.
Yeah.
And then they have immunity to a huge pile of conditions for various reasons because they're made of air.
Mm-hmm.
The air form thing is not really called out in 2014 as it is here.
Mm-hmm.
Lets them enter an enemy space and stop there and squeeze through tight spaces.
Now they do lose the faultless tracker ability.
Of course they do. It's a sense thing. They lose that all over the place. I mean, it absolutely tears the guts out of the core story of the Invisible Stalker.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying is that like the whole thing is that you summon them and stick them after your enemies, and being a faultless tracker, always knowing where that enemy is kind of cool, and that it's going to be a relentless and it's going to be constantly coming after you, and you can't hide from it and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of a good there's an almost horror story element to an Invisible Stalker, except now in 2024, it's really just a minor elemental that's always invisible and comes after you, but you can hide.
Then it no longer does 2 slam attacks, which, in fairness, was not amazingly interesting. And the damage is absolutely awful for CR6. Just really bad for CR6. Now they get more attacks per round, one of which they can replace with the use of Vortex. Their default invisibility is giving them a lot of benefit here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's taking up a lot of the overall monster capability budget, I think. But
it's not doing much more damage in any given attack, but it's gotten a whole extra attack per round, plus this vortex ability that it didn't have before, where it can turn into a little whirlwind and go into your space and grapple you and do damage at the same time.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's right.
Oh, and you can't cast spells with a verminal component when you're in a vortex,
which is incredible.
Yeah,
right. If you're sending these to hunt down and kill your spellcasting opponents, they're not good at hunting, but they sure are good at killing. Oh, goodness. So that's.
And I was going to say
cool.
That's kind of noteworthy ability, because there's not a lot of those gotcha things in the stat blocks that we've seen so far.
No.
As far as like telling a PC they can't do something.
No, the Invisible Stalker gets to be the exception on a couple of different rules. One, it takes away your ability to cast spells, and 2, it gets to maintain the resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing.
Cool. So I do also like their D6 table of uncontrolled stalkers doing stuff. Right, that's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of, what do these do when no one is controlling them right this minute? That's pretty neat.
It's not so much what they're doing as it is what they are or where they came from.
Yeah, see, that's what's weird to me is that,
sure, that's true.
Like, I don't know. D&D has one consistent story, but monsters apparently have a potential of 6 different origins if they have a table.
Sure. I mean, this is fine to me. It is sort of, how do air elementals become baseline bad? Like, what has to... You know what I mean? Like these are neutral, in fairness. And yeah.
I was just laughing because it's like when good elementals go bad.
Although, as Brandis was just saying, they're not bad. They're neutral. Although, if you look at their origins, the D6 table of origins, they're all like something horrible happened and it manifested this air spirit.
Right. It just means that the spirit is not motivated toward its goals necessarily until it is assigned.
Right. But its purpose is murder, so...
it's the whole thing is just bad gas, right? It's a case of bad gas.
So, it's a case of bad gas.
This is not the Invisible Stalker's fault, but I will say, for anyone still discussing the wording behind invisibility, having invisibility say the stalker has the invisible condition does not help the arguments that the invisibility condition doesn't mean that you're invisible.
I suppose.
D&D has been struggling to make hiding and invisibility something that is like grammatically comprehensible. Certainly all throughout 4th edition. Mercy with the stealth rules, a big clunky mess then. Whoa. So yeah, that's just something I keep struggling with.
So we're ready to move on to our last eye.
I am one of the three-eyed team here. Yes.
All right. So let's talk about iron golems then, which are now in the I's instead of in the G's. Although I noticed that when I was comparing the table of contents from the two versions of the Monster Manual, in 2014, there were only 2 creatures under the I's, Intellect Devourer and Invisible Stalker, that we just talked about. The imps were not there because they were in the D's, and incubuses were just the male version of succubuses, so they were listed under succubuses, and then iron golems were listed under golems. So the I's got beefed up in the process of being reorganized, I suppose. So iron golems are basically... Oh, go ahead.
That's something I've always said looking through a monster manual. There's just not enough monsters under this particular letter.
Yeah,
how could they fix that?
This is Ixixactical erasure, and I will not stand for it.
So iron golems are basically, for people who don't know, big animated statues made out of iron who are given some form of just enough intelligence to be able to follow orders, standing around, usually guarding things. If you believe they can be in just about any form and look like just about anything, but if you believe the artwork for 2024, it looks like kind of a cross between a Warforged and Black Panther.
Yeah, I mean that's surprisingly true.
Yep.
The sort of face shape situation here does have a lot of sort of shared structure with Black Panther, much less true in 2014.
Yes.
I would just like to begin with a complaint that since these don't speak, they cannot in fact be voiced by Vin Diesel, as is appropriate to the Iron Giant, right? I will hold that up as one of Vin Diesel's best movies.
That's fair. So, have iron golems undergone much change?
They picked up 42 hit points.
Yep.
Because there's no adamantine requirement to deal full damage to them.
It's an interesting progression for iron golems specifically across editions, because iron golems were notoriously hard to even damage originally because you needed a +3 weapon to hit them.
That's right.
So just having something that can damage them.
Back in 2nd edition, when the plus of your weapon impacted what you could... Or
Also under... Was it under 3.0? Yeah.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Did they maintain that?
3.5 it went to just a magical weapon or adamantine, but in 3.0 it was still a +3 weapon. And I know this because I had a DM that decided in the middle of our 3.5 campaign that he liked it better that iron golems could only be hit by +3 or better weapons after we had rolled initiative with one.
Oh no.
Not a great campaign, but the funny thing about that was we glued the golem to the floor and then destroyed the floor and dropped it to another level of the dungeon, and he got mad at us. So anyway.
Amazing.
There you go.
That's amazing.
Now, I don't think 2014, and I don't have it pulled up because it's in a different place in the book, and I haven't pulled it up to look at it side by side. But they didn't have the bladed arm attack in 2014, did they?
No, they had a slam and a sword.
Okay. So they had a sword, which was pretty close. I like the thing I like about the slam is like I like the slam in the same way I don't like the rend on the dragons. Right? I like the claw bite on the dragons because I like to know what they're doing. But all dragons more or less have the same form. Iron golems come in a variety of forms, so I kind of like the idea of the slam because I can flavor it however I want. Because iron golems could be in whatever shape they're going to be in.
So they've picked up a lot more fire theme now.
Yeah, I see that.
I mean, it's showing up maybe arguably in the art also, but the fire damage in the bladed arm and the fiery bolt attack are simply not a thing in 2014. And I don't think they've ever been a thing before 2014 either.
Yeah, not that I can recall.
And, fiery bolt's doing pretty okay damage. Pretty okay.
Was this a thing that they thought, well, we need everything to have both a melee and a ranged attack if possible, and so let's justify by adding a bunch of fire stuff to it?
I think that's an extremely good bet.
Yeah.
And, at CR16, ways to stay away from it and just zero out the damage because it still only has a speed of 30. Really easy. Really, really easy. And not super fun. Just kind of idiots.
Some adventurers might glue you to the floor and then destroy the floor underneath you.
Then where are we?
Right?
I mean, other than creating a new door to the next level.
I will say, if you're not describing Fiery Bolt as like the head opening up like the Destroyer in Thor,
I was at least thinking I-beams.
I don't know what you're thinking.
I was thinking at least I-beams.
or like a hand cannon, right?
Yeah.
Like if it turns into a hand cannon, then you're really just doing Iron Giant again, and I'm on board.
I mean,
you don't have to be a gun.
Fine.
I love that movie, is what I'm trying to tell you.
At least they're describing it as like they have magical fiery cores that animate them, and this is the release of the energy from that magical core. But it's only ever described as magical, not fiery, I guess. But I'm going to describe it as fiery because otherwise, why fire bolts and fire damage?
I mean, it's always had fire absorption, right? It's always been there to trick you into throwing a fireball. You healed me, right? In the same way that flesh and clay have their own sort of gotchas,
right? At least that made the fire damage sort of absorption thing makes sense to me, in as much as like, hey, I've been banging on it and I've put cracks in this iron shell, and then I hit it with fire and it sort of remelted and sealed the cracks, sort of thing. Like I can imagine that.
Sure. And I think that's perfectly good. I think you could have a great time forcing the PCs to fight one of these in a fiery environment, right? So it's just getting passively healed by the same environment that is wrecking their day.
The story of the magical core does help the poison breath thing make more sense, though.
Right. There's also a Gorgon connection.
Yes, in the past.
Iron creature, poison breath. Right.
Right.
I mean, it was petrifying breath some of the time, but work with me, people. Like they showed the green mist in 2014. All right. The D4 table of Iron Golem orders, also a pretty good time.
So I kind of want Brandis's opinion on this, because I have always trusted your rules brain much better than my own, but
I cannot wait to disappoint you.
I really don't like that all of the golems get the golem can't shapeshift instead of they aren't affected by spells that change their form? Because I'm just saying, from someone, if you have someone that has never read one of these things before and you read that, what does that sound like? It sounds like, well, duh, yeah, the golem can't shapeshift. Okay. It doesn't
have a
sound
shapeshift,
like,
right.
yeah.
This is a rare case where sort of a somewhat more passive construction would improve clarity.
Yeah.
What you mean is can't be shape-shifted.
Yeah.
Why did you phrase it like this? Right. Or just the golem's shape can't shift.
Right.
Yeah.
And now we're somewhere. So yes, I agree. That is a weird wording choice that does not improve clarity for the end user in exactly the way they want to bring about.
That reminds me of some of the things that I read when I was a little kid, first reading D&D books and going, why do they say this? This doesn't make any sense. You know, it, like in context, if you understand the entire game, it might click. But the first time you're reading something like that, you're like, okay, I can't shapeshift either. Cool. We have something in common now.
Speaking of
you shapeshift? No.
Speaking of mechanical questions, we've talked about how it's gained this fiery bolt thing so that it has a ranged attack, so that it has both a melee and a ranged thing that it can do. But in my head, the range should still be like secondary. Does it bother anybody else that the ranged attack is doing more damage than the melee attack? I feel like it should be primarily a melee fighter.
The difference in the attack bonus is going to wind up like influencing real damage output round over round.
I suppose.
Like at 16th level, a plus 10 misses meaningfully more often than a plus 12.
Yeah,
is what I'm getting at.
Sure, but still, like to my thinking, in that situation, I'd want them to do about the same damage, and then their fiery bolts are going to miss more. Thus, the primary attack is run up and hit things, because that's what iron golems in my head do.
I agree with you as far as that goes. I think that there's pretty definitely some amount of weird damage tinkering that happened here, but genuinely it's about the attack bonus. Like in their math, it's about the attack bonus.
If nothing else, that plus 2 evens out the damage between the two of them.
Right, so they made them equivalent. I still want one to be the primary.
Well,
so they don't want to give you a trap choice, right? They want them to both be balanced. It's just, if you're thinking as a DM and you feel some amount of confidence that you're going to hit with a plus 10, which at 16th level, at tier 16 might be fair or not, then they don't want you to sort of go to a trap choice where, I picked Firebolt because of my situation. No, they want them both to be about the same, right?
Yeah,
like that's
agree
the standardization situation.
I agree with Jeff's logic. I actually don't mind giving more things a ranged attack so that they aren't trapped if people outmaneuver them. But I also don't necessarily want all of their attack options to be equally viable, because that feels like this thing does the same thing it does no matter what. But on the other hand, I do understand that from a design principle, that was what they were doing.
No, I get the design principle. I just, like, if I have an iron golem and it's 20 feet away from the PCs or whatever, like, its best option, because it's an iron golem, should be run up and hit it, not blast it with its eyes. Honestly, its best option at that point from that far away is probably hit it with the cone of poison. But, that aside.
Right. if it can hit multiple PCs with 55 poison damage, do that.
Sure.
That's pretty good.
Sure. But let's assume that that's already been used. I want the best choice to be run up and hit things, because that's what iron golems are about. They're big hulking metal constructs that smash things. They're not iconically things that set you on fire.
Sure.
So, okay, let's move on. We have to move on to the next letter. We're in another letter, and this is going to take a long time. We've made it to the J's. The J's have one creature in them. So while the I's managed to pick up some extra entries with the new organization, the J's are being neglected. The only J creature we have is the Jackalware.
I would just like to say my new pet peeve that I have gotten just in this series, rereading all of the 2014 entries as concentratedly as I have been. This is another 2024 improvement. They don't have to call something evil a coward because everything was cowardly and lazy if it was evil, because evil is cowardly and cowardly and lazy is evil. That bugged me how much that was in the 2014 Monster Manual everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
They're also depicted a lot less savagely. Like if you look at the artwork, they were a savage bestial creature before, and now they're jackals with an almost Arabian or Egyptian sort of motif going on, which kind of fits the jackal sort of theme. They are and they're described extensively in multiple places as being sort of tricksters, and we have a table of different tricks that they might use. They're still evil; they're chaotic evil, but they're trickster creatures, and they're creatures that switch forms between being a jackal and being a. Do they only have jackal in hybrid form? Like they can't shapeshift into just human. Like a werewolf or whatever.
No, it's the same. Specifically, it says human. So
medium human. Yep.
The shapeshift bonus action, the Jackalware shapeshifts into a medium human,
yep,
or medium jackal humanoid hybrid, or returns to a true form, that of a small jackal.
So its true form is being a jackal, but it's a magic jackal that can turn into a person or a hybrid creature.
Yep.
Other than that, they're interestingly, they get to do rend slam. Not quite the same thing as claw bite, but they at least have a multi attack that's utilizing multiple things there that are actually described instead of just rend.
They used to use scimitars some of the time.
They say if you have a humanoid form, why wouldn't you be able to use? Why'd they throw down their swords?
I mean, it's a little bit. Oh, were they from the desert? I bet their sword is a scimitar, which is okay. Slow down.
So they lost.
I just think it's funny though because I'm going to be masquerading as a human, but also I hit you really, really hard for being a human.
Yep. I punch him real good, unless you used to monks, in which case not very good.
Yeah.
Interestingly to me, so they used to do scimitar and bite attacks. Now they do rend and slam attacks. That's a weird mix for me, especially given that the rend seems to, at least damage-wise, seems to have replaced the scimitar, and the slam seems to have replaced the bite, and those are not. Like, why are we, I'm imagining the rend as a claw. Why are we claw slamming at that point?
I mean, if it's really your jackal form, your rend should probably be a bite.
I suppose if you're in the jackal form, the rend is a bite, but.
I mean, I do think it's weird that the slam's doing less damage. It seems off to me.
I just don't know what the slam is.
Damage down.
They're clearly depicted
right.
as having claws. So why are they doing bludgeoning damage? I don't know where that came from.
They like to punch. I don't know.
I was going to say slam seems almost entirely just so that you can say in their human forms they're slapping you around, but it is interesting that...
Look, maybe they practice Muay Thai.
Yes, hey, they're martial
So
artists.
it's all elbows and knees, elbows and knees.
Yes. Hey, the other thing that's kind of interesting to me is I guess they figured the jackal wearers were too good in 2014 because they lost their immunity to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing, and they got no extra hit points. They got the exact same amount of hit points.
Yep.
It's way easier to kill these guys now.
Yeah, and I mean CR 1/2. That's sort of a big open question, but sleep gaze is sort of the one of the big things that is going to be chewing up a lot of their damage budget,
Right.
because the unconscious condition is, from what I hear, really bad for you during a fight. It's not. And like 10 minutes of unconscious. Okay, cool story.
Until your buddy comes over and wakes you up.
Yeah.
But that takes an action.
Soaking in action, right?
Yep.
That's like, you don't have to. You don't need to be in a situation of spending a lot of time waking someone to suddenly have a big, like, cascading failure problem in a fight. If for some reason you're in a serious heads-up fight against a bunch of jackal wares. Weird, but okay.
That said, the sleep gaze works more now. It used to not affect undead or creatures immune to being charmed. Now it just doesn't affect undead or constructs.
Yeah.
So it can affect more creatures now because the immune to charmed creatures suddenly can be put to sleep.
There are some interesting base level things though that we kind of skipped over, which is they're fiends now.
Oh, hey, look at that.
They aren't humanoids anymore, and also they're default small.
Well, that's
kind of weird.
That's because their true form is the jackal form, and the jackal is small.
Oh yeah, right. Their human form is medium.
Yeah,
they're human
and
and
their hybrid form is medium.
Yeah.
So, like their jackal form was small before.
Right.
So
right.
It winds up the same. Is framed a little weirdly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They're just leaning hard. They're leaning hard into the fact that these are jackals that are magical, not humans that have been infected like werewolves.
Yeah.
The thing that's interesting to me, though, is that for them changing these to fiends, and like we've said in this book and a few other places, that usually is the indicator, like, hey, go ahead and murder these things with impunity. But they actually present them as more tricksters here than they did in the 2014 book.
Yeah, they did.
And they also don't directly have Grezit being their progenitor either, and saying that they were created to do evil by evil for evil, constantly evil, the way that they did in the 2014 entry. So it's kind of weird because they made them sound less sinister and made them fiends.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, their D4 table of tricks is really kind of some classic Fae. I kind of think they should have been Fae.
If you're going to change the type, Fae would have worked well.
I agree.
Because honestly, like, D&D needs to break out of Fae means it's from a forest.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm.
There's some really great, like, Fae concepts flying around. I know because I read a lot of Changeling the Dreaming, right? There's some great Fae concepts waiting for you in other climates.
Yeah, I completely agree. This is something that, to me, once you say that just kind of screams Fae.
I mean, if you're going to go so far as to distinguish them that much from the other, well, not from the other, from the lycanthropes, because they're very clearly being told that these aren't lycanthropes, these are jackals that are magic and they can turn into things, right? They're not infected humanoids or whatever.
And it's also pretty clear that you can, like, propitiate them with an offering of treasure or fresh game, and they'll probably leave you alone. Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair play.
Which is where the like it almost, the alignment almost doesn't even make sense. They're more, in my mind, depicted as chaotic neutral than they are chaotic evil, because they're leaning hard into this tricksteriness. But I guess the fiendishness sort of justifies the evil. So
it almost feels like they did the fiend change when they were still running with that these are like jackals that were created by Grez, but they didn't really bring that lore over, and then they didn't describe them as being that same kind of thing.
Right.
Also, I will just say the 2014 origin with them being animals imbued by a demon lord is like, I am also starting to notice 2014 also had a lot of like, we have to over origin certain things, and a lot of it is a demon lord did this to a thing that made it this thing.
yeah, I like having. This is where, like, even when we were talking about the invisible stalker and the different possible origins or whatever, I like having options for origins. Although I know you were kind of deriding that a little bit, Jared, but I like having the options because different settings can have different stories, and whatever my current campaign's origin story wants to be, like that, whatever makes that interesting, that's fine by me.
I'm actually not against having the Monster Manual have multiple origins for a monster. It goes against everything else they're pushing for, which is that the Forgotten Realms and Greyhawk and Kryn are all literally on the same plane of existence and all play by the exact same rules.
Well, they've always been on the same plane of existence. The prime material.
No.
Duck and cover, Jeff. Last warning.
No, I will refrain, but I mean, especially like in the first edition Monster Manual of the Planes, they did not imply that the prime material held all of the same worlds in different D&D worlds. Those were alternate worlds.
See, I grew up in second edition with Sigil and the Great Wheel, so in my mind, they're all on the plane. They're all on the material plane, but in different crystal spheres. Because I also played Spelljammer.
Right, and also we won't go into this, but there's a whole other thing about how some designers had a completely different idea about what Kryn is and where it is in the universe versus other designers. So
that happens on a few places. Eberron has some wonky things going on. Yeah.
I feel like Eberron was actually pretty safely in its own cosmology until recently.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, I mean, Eberron's one of the newer settings, so everything's fairly recent with Eberron. And by, I guess, recent, I guess it's been 2 editions that it's been out, but still.
It's been
Recent.
23 years,
We're
Jeff.
still, yeah, I was just going to say, recent, we're still... 2008, it was just yesterday.
Some of us are old enough where 23 years feels like yesterday.
Out. It's 23 years
college,
ago. So, like in the 70s. It was about the 70s, right?
I was in college then. I'm in college now. It's all...
It's a great perspective.
Yep. All right. Anything more on Jackalware?
You sound like Bluto Blutarski here. I just need you to know that. 7 years down the train.
Should we try to squeeze
for
in
all of our younger listeners? That's from Animal House.
They took the bar, the whole.
Should we move on to one more creature before we call it quits tonight?
Sure. Let's do it.
Let's get into our third letter in the same episode. That's amazing.
Careful, Jeff. You're on double secret probation.
Brought to you by the letter J. So we are going to get into the K's, and we have our Kenku, which have also, speaking of having undergone some significant core changes, the Kenku have also undergone some pretty significant core changes, mostly in the story of them only being able to mimic sounds and not being able to speak with their own voices due to some sort of ancient curse or whatever. Eventually, I think the curse was lifted because that's a cute idea for a minute or two, and then it gets annoying real fast. The mimicry thing gets annoying fast. So.
I mean, I kind of like
know,
it
man.
as their story. I don't know that they're as unique when they aren't that, because they're another bird people.
Right. Like, I had I was in a Planescape game where a guy was playing a Kenku with like really careful mimicry, and like we kind of wind up doing it as I'm going to list some answers for you. You say the one that's right, so that he doesn't have to remember everything that's been said in the campaign.
Yeah.
But he sort of would build a library of responses, right?
Yeah.
So it was really challenging, but it was really great also.
No, I've enjoyed Kenku a bunch, and I remember like there's a couple of Kenku that you run into in Descent into Avernus at one place, and I used those Kenku to like hint at other NPCs they might run into by sort of doing those NPC voices before they met the NPCs and that kind of stuff. But I can see where it's a challenge to do the constant mimicry for a Kenku.
I will say this as far as saying that they are a cursed people that can't do this. I think the curse may have been more of an issue than what it actually did. You know, just the idea that, you know, if you are playing a Kenku or you're portraying Kenku, they are always people that have been cursed to not be able to speak and not be able to fly, and they're always trying to get that back. And that's okay, but I do see where removing this species is a curse, is an accursed thing trying to live down its curse, is a problem for a lot of D&D creatures that maybe they wanted to avoid. I just don't know that you want to take mimicry out of there just because of that.
Well, and it's interesting. So they still have the mimicry ability. It's just not the only way they can communicate.
Right.
And it's interesting when you read the lore and the origin story, like they were cursed and it stole their wings and transformed their voices. And I'm like, well, that's an interesting curse in that like it took away one thing, but then gave them a special ability. Like it transformed their voices. Yep. So it sounds like the curse gave them the mimicry ability, which is no longer it's no longer holding them back because they can also just speak.
Yep.
Well,
I mean, also their look got a nice upgrade from 2014 to 2024. Man,
but read the second sentence, because they walked back what they did with PC Kenkus. Now that they're monstrosities, which is another change.
Don't like it.
And that they live in the Shadowfell?
No, they can't talk normally anymore again. The curse affecting Kenku allows them to vocally communicate only by mimicking sounds they've heard. So they're back to that now, even though they had changed that.
But it's not in the stat block.
No.
The stat block doesn't say that anymore, whereas the old one did. The 2014 one did.
No, but it also creates that headache of, I'm playing a Kenku from Monsters of the Multiverse. Am I affected by the curse or am I not? What does this mean?
Right.
Well, you're humanoid and not a monstrosity, so you're clearly a person. Sorry, I'm not going to go down that path again.
Right, and I think that creature type aside, the mimicry solution for a PC is really just, hey, look, I'm around a lot of conversations we don't play out.
Right.
Like a lot. Like so many. If I have that good of mimicry, then I'm just going to tell you, I start talking and I sound like you. Because I'm piecing together like I'm writing a damn ransom note, but with sound.
Right.
You know, the thing I need to say, the idea that I have.
Now, right? Was the Shadowfell thing a thing that came up in the monster book that Jared just mentioned?
I don't.
I
don't remember a lot of what they said in there.
Because it's interesting, because like the major stat block changes, they went from shooting a bow and swinging a short sword, to now they summon this shadow blade and they can throw it and it returns to their hand and whatever. It's very evocative of a creature from the Shadowfell. I don't hate that Kenku are now depicted as creatures from the Shadowfell that have shadow powers, because it's got that connection to the Raven Queen and they're kind of a Raven people. So I don't hate the change, other than it is a change from what we've seen in previous editions for Kenku.
The only reference in Monsters of the Multiverse is that Kenku are most often found in the Shadowfell and the Material Plane.
Yep.
Okay.
And the art leans much harder into weird necromancer, which is also pretty cool.
No, like I'm digging the new creature. It's definitely a new creature. I do like that they depict the Eldritch Lantern ability that they have as, boy, that looks an awful lot like a glowing heart inside of a leather sling that it's carrying around.
That's pretty cool.
Like I like the new Kenku, but it's not the Kenku that we've known for years.
I would also throw out here, since we already hit this note once this episode, doesn't that kind of sound like you could have made them Fae instead of monstrosities, though? I mean,
or left them as humanoid. It's really fine to leave them as humanoid.
I mean, they really should have left them as humanoid, yes. But I mean, if you absolutely have to change them, why are they so afraid of making things into Fae?
Well, except for all the things that they made into Fae that we were decrying earlier.
Well, yeah, turning the embodiment of subjugation and destruction is something I always think of with Fae.
Yeah.
Hobgoblins,
But if you're going to turn goblinoids into Fae, then all the goblinoids have to be Fae.
I mean, okay, I will say this. If you have watched Labyrinth, I don't know that you can argue against goblins being Fae, but it's a different vibe.
No, I can...
Right.
I can. There are touchstones in media that make me think goblins as Fae makes sense. There's fairy tales that make me think goblins as Fae make sense. But Lord of the Rings is not one of them, and Lord of the Rings is my foundational touchstone for fantasy.
No, I get it. I mean, honestly, the thing I liked better was the Monsters of the Multiverse thing, where they kind of made the goblinoids like elves, where they're humanoids, but they are Fae touched, so they have these elements of being Fae.
Sure. Yep. All right. Anything else on the Kenku that? We never really got into the stats, other than, I mean, their whole actions change. They no longer short sword and short bow. Instead, they've got these shadow blades that are doing D6 plus 3 damage. Before they were doing, hey, look, both of those attacks were D6 plus 3 damage. So
their attacks are substantially more rad.
in as much as they're almost identical, except they do necrotic damage.
Well, it's a shadow blade rather than
Yes,
short bow.
They're radder in narrative, but mechanically they're almost identical.
And they do necrotic damage.
Yes,
I mean,
I said that.
I hate to point.
Murdering
I hate
you
to point
more.
this out. If you take mimicry out, you could just say this is a Shader Kai stat block.
Accurate.
No, when I was saying that these tie in nicely to the Shadowfell with the Raven Queen and all that, because ravens and Kenku have a similar aesthetic. It did occur to me, like, but there's already a whole shadow thing tied to the species tied to the Raven Queen running around the Shadowfell. It was a major component of a recent campaign I ran. Like, I dove into that hard. I guess the Raven Queen has multiple species running around doing her bidding.
I do like in the in Kobold Press's Midgard setting, there is like a running thing where people assume Raven folk are affiliated with Odin, even though a whole bunch of them aren't. And so a lot of them will play into that because people think that they're going to deliver like cryptic messages or things like that.
Right. That's funny. All right, are we done with Kenku?
I'm done with Kenku.
I'm raving about it myself.
Their hit points are the same. Their AC is the same. They're basically the same.
They don't ambush anymore.
They don't ambush anymore, but they do cast Fairy Fire.
Yeah,
as a bonus action. So that's cool. I don't hate this new Kenku. It is a whole different species than it was before. But here we are. All right, then. We're going to go ahead and call that the end of the episode. I want to say thank you to Jared Rascher for joining us. Jared, if people want to find more of you on the internet, where can they go?
All right, you can hear me on Thaco with Advantage, which is the D&D podcast I do with my friend Ange, and there's old stuff you can find on Gnome Stew and on my blog, but writing is a thing that's been ripped straight out of my head as if by an intellect devourer in the last couple of years. So someday I might get back to it, but it'll take a greater restoration. So that's it.
Start saving up our coin. Brandis Stoddard, thank you for joining us. Where can people go if they want to get more Brandis Stoddard in their lives?
Well, you can find me on the Tome Show Discord, on Blue Sky at brandisstoddard.bsky.social. My personal blog is brandisstoddard.com, and my Patreon is Brandis Stoddard.
All right. I also want to thank everyone who supports us by being patrons at patreon.com/The Tome Show. Your support helps me pay the bills, and that helps make the show possible. Thanks goes out to our higher tier supporters, Doug Palmer, Hyperlexic, Trash Panda, and Michael Harrison. For as little as $1 a month, you can help make the show as awesome as we can make it. And thank you to all of the patrons that we have for your support.
And if you'd like to contact us, you can send email thetomeshow@gmail.com. You can find us on social media. I'm Sarah Dark Magic, that's Sarah with an H. Jeff is Squatch, SQUACH, on many social medias.
That's right. All right, that is episode 397, where we harangued an insipid but invincible institution of incredible imps with intestinal intellect, as we discuss the Monster Manual for the 19th time in this episode of
The Tome.
I'm on the wall.